The Basildon Local Delivery pilot is where the whole system have come together as partners to help with physical activity. In its simplest form, the pilot is around 30 minutes of activity for our most deprived areas in Basildon. So that's parts of Vange and Pitsea. What do I mean by whole system? That's public sector partners, that's private partners, and that's the voluntary sector.
There's been so much inactivity, and I'm not just talking about COVID. There has been so much inactivity, but this project has really got to the core of the people, and physical activity has become the norm for them. And they're actually promoting it to everybody and get more people to attend. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. It's lovely to see, and it's lovely to speak to those people and for them to tell us how happy they are, but how fit and healthy they are getting.
Watch everything.
Yoga, karate, anything. I like doing sport, it keeps me fit.
For us within the health system, it's made us think about what is our offer to patients, and we're all too keen sometimes to prescribe a pill, refer into a kind of clinical service, when actually the opportunity around trying to improve somebody's well-being doesn't lie there. It lies in trying to get them to engage in physical activity. What we've managed to do through this programme is get people to think about that alternative, think about addressing the root cause of a problem as opposed to what the patient's presenting with that day. I think that's really resonated well with clinicians from across the board who actually want to tackle things at source as opposed to dealing with it when it becomes a problem.
The impact that we've seen is our customers that have come to us initially for mental health support start uptaking physical activity as a point of understanding that will support their mental health. So that's been brilliant. It's allowed us to grow as an organisation. When we first started with the LDP, it was just one person behind Motivated Minds, and now I've got 18 staff, 35 volunteers, and we're running 6 days a week, the physical programs, and 7 days a week in our sort of online services.
The police have again looked at their strategies and policies, so much more how they have activities and events in open spaces where there is physical activity as part of that, rather than sit-down meetings. So it's looking at how we currently work and how we interact with our community, but more importantly, it's engaging communities that works for them.
I could only do 2 laps the first night. I never thought I could do 12, and I can. You know, it's done so much for my confidence and my mental health.
It's got me back out again. I'm seeing people again. I've made friends, and every session since I've improved. I started off not really doing much into now I'm running once a week, I'm doing yoga, I'm doing meditation.
Post-COVID, the single most important thing we can do to improve the health of the population we serve is to improve levels of physical activity. It's a particular challenge to do this within people with mental health issues, deprived communities, and in older people. And partnership working, as led by the Sport England LDP in Essex and in Basildon, has been absolutely critical in enabling the gains that we've seen in these areas.
So I think it's changed the way people think about physical activity. It's much more than the activity itself. It's the community engagement, it's the social prescribing. So the example there is, say, Park Run, which is a complete success, 5 park runs in Basildon. But actually the volunteering has been actually a bigger take-up of how people support the Park Run. They're talking to each other and they're creating a community hub now and wanting to do more as a community rather than just support the physical activity itself. So it's why people are coming together, and that momentum of change around physical activity, which brings other benefits such as health and well-being, that community feel. I went over to the park, and normally you go to a park on a Saturday and most people moan about the grass not being cut, what the council's doing, etc. These are volunteers that came over and said, we've got our park back. Thank you. It's communities that were doing it for themselves, really, which is what this is morphed into.
The Active Essex Local Delivery pilot has just turbocharged our organisation as a charity.
It's a bit like a free gym or like a boot camp, and the fact that the coaches are here and they're getting you involved as much as they are the kids, it's amazing.
To bring those people that had aspirations to improve themselves in their community to actually get on the ground and do that. Basildon had a real problem with young people being inactive. You know, doubled with COVID, people were feeling very isolated and anxious. The local area, there was a perception of crime and fear, which made people reluctant to use their local parks and communities. And our aim and ambition through the Active Essex local delivery pilot was to change that perception and help people to feel safe. You know, without realising, we've built whole social structures and additional communities that just weren't there before. So you'll hear countless examples of people now having a network to lean on and to provide that support. And it was something that, to be honest, we completely underestimated the impact and the difference we could make by building those social structures.
The Sport England LDP has given us a real opportunity to deliver as we never have before. Basildon Council, Essex County Council, the NHS partners, communities and the voluntary sector have all worked together to really make a difference to how people in the area can choose to undertake physical activity.
There's lots more to be done. We need to get the wider groups. There's still harder to reach groups, so we need to build on what we've already done. But it's also about branding it for other places, so different activities for different places. But for the next 2 years, it's about not only celebrating the success, but working even harder for the voluntary groups and the communities at large to do it for themselves. So when the funding ends and when the council moves away, that this is entrenched in everyone's days, lives, because it improves their outcomes for them, their communities, their families, and the place Basildon.